With tech selling off after a magnificent run, what do I do with the cybersecurity plays that have been putting up terrific numbers? Take Cramer fave CyberArk. That's the Israeli company that protects so-called privileged accounts or administrator accounts that are often targeted by hackers because they hold the keys to the digital kingdom. This stock has been an incredible performance, up more than 60% for the year, although its recent track record is kind of turbulent. CyberArk stock peaked at nearly 150 in July, then plummeted to the mid-90s, its lows in October, before rebounding to 120 as of today. Some of that's because Wall Street became more comfortable with these turbocharged growth tech stocks again. Some of it's because the company reported a fabulous quarter about a month ago. So can this thing keep climbing? Let's take a closer look with Udi Mokady. He's the co-founder, chairman, CEO of CyberArk. To get a better read on how his company's doing, where it's headed, Mr. Mokady, welcome back to Mad Money. Good to see you, Udi. Have a seat. Thank you. Okay, so Udi, I get worried because the number of companies that have signed up with you, big Fortune 500 companies, in the last 4 months is so large that I have to feel something's happening. That either your salespeople are doing great, which I'm sure they are, or somebody did something we don't know about, and the word got out that they had to hire you. What is that? Hell's going on?
I think the word is out that privileged access is at the center point of digital transformation and also reducing risk. So we're an enabling technology for companies who want to go fast and enable digital transformation, but also protect against what the hackers are going after. So
okay,
the word is out.
So let's say you got a business and you want to digitize, you want to go to Amazon Web Services. Does that create a particular new hole in your situation?
Yeah, it increases the attack surface. Now it's an all-in. If somebody takes over that cloud infrastructure, they have everything. And so there's a nice line between what the cloud provider would do and what our customers would do and protect their own data, their access to that data.
I was astonished to see the amount of federal business you're doing. I thought the federal government would have already figured this out.
Q3 was a record for global government for us, but definitely here, U.S. federal. They have a program, actually, to make it easier for agencies to adopt privileged access management with CyberArk, the CDM program, so they've been executing on that.
Okay, now, energy. What are they worried about?
Energy is one of the most vulnerable verticals out there.
Why?
In every survey, because it's the attack surface is so wide. They have so many convoluted systems, very old technologies. Some systems they're afraid to even touch and upgrade. So for an attacker, it's really a walk in the park. But now they're investing.
Energy, these are very rich companies. They have a lot of vulnerability. We don't want anyone in there. What, are they just underspent?
They have a very complex infrastructure, so they are spending. But I think the going belief was the attackers won't make it on the inside. That's changing these days. It's very clear that nation states, sophisticated attackers can make it on the inside. So they're also investing now, but they are behind.
But they're naive.
Not naive, not naive. I think it's an evolution. There were industries that were more targeted in the past. Now It's clear that energy is also a prime target.
Okay, there's one that I'm very concerned about involving HIPAA and pharmaceutical. Now, you guys are starting to. You have to explain to people what it is. But if they're in on the pharmaceuticals, they know about us. They know about things they should know.
Yeah, there's a lot of information in the pharmaceutical because of all the experiments and trials.
Right, if you're in a phase 3, which is secret, your name is known. Yeah. They have your name.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see these verticals investing and understanding the information that they hold is super sensitive.
But, okay, so let's look at the case of someone who's been hit. It would be in their interest not to tell, but we know from when Target didn't tell immediately that the reputational damage is very high.
Yeah, we see the Global 2000s have response platforms in which they know that they have to disclose. Sometimes it's regulatory reasons they have to disclose.
Right.
And also a crisis management, a proper crisis management approach says disclose. Get your house under order and invite companies like CyberArk to help, but disclose. So I think they would have.
Disgruntled employees, people looking for ransom, or nation state?
All of the above. All of the above, and I think the weapons of nation states have also made their way into the hands of criminal organizations and even the amateur type hackers. So all of the above. It's getting harder these days to even know who is the attacker because they're using what's called false flags, where you think it's one country, but it's another country, and it could be even a criminal organization. But we focus on what you can do is proactively protect the infrastructure.
Once they're in, can you find it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what companies like us, we help. We partner with other security technologies so that the organization has time to respond and basically contain the attack.
When you first came on, smaller company, had a base of people, ex-military in Israel, trustworthy. Many of them you knew. You're now a huge company. How do you keep a guy who's playing the long game? He works for you for 5 years. He knows all the tricks of the trade, and then he goes after.
We follow our own best practices in how we check our people.
So if I worked at your company for 5 years and I leave, I'm still being followed by CyberArk.
No. I meant background checks when you're coming on board. But of course, we protect our own secrecy and limit what people can access.
Okay, so do you tell people that you got to make your password much more difficult?
It's much more than that. I mean, what we do is actually the password never reaches an end user. They're rotated. We give people access to what they need to do, but the password is never exposed so that the attacker can't latch on them.
Okay, now let's talk about competition. Today, there's a downgraded CrowdStrike. People talking about how it's too crowded. Fortinet's been good, but Palo Alto struggled last week, was down 30 points, even though I think they're trying to move from, digital to a digital world. We got Zscaler. They all have land and expand, Udi. They all want to come in on one thing and then take over. Cisco. So how do you, as a smaller company, keep them at bay?
So first of all, we really grew. We now have 5,000 customers.
You're huge.
Out of Israel, we're the second largest public information security company. And in our space, we're the only public company in the privileged access management space. So we have long-term ambitions as well. We dominate and work hard to be the market leader in our space, but also partner and look at adjacencies.
Okay, I was with the company out in San Francisco last week. They had an office in Israel, and they had an office in America. They felt Israel was too hard to communicate with, so they closed Israel. Now, you're based also in Newton, Massachusetts. Is it a problem to have two headquarters, basically?
No, I think it's a matter of evolution. I think from day one, we wanted to be a true global company where we know how to work with the R&D in Israel, know how to work with the R&D in the U.S., and the offices around the world. It's working perfectly.
All right, one last question. My daughter had $1,000 pulled out of her account, a major bank, and then a second $1,000. She let them know. They're negotiating now back. We're starting to see big hacks, huge amount of money, but we don't read about it. Why don't we read about it?
It's really out there. But the $1,000 really are the small ones. But
not to someone who's 22.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they try to resolve those quickly before they're publicized.
Wow, this is incredible. All right, well, that's Udi Mokady, Chairman and CEO of CyberArk Software. If you're not worried about it, I check my balance every day. You should be checking your balance every day. This is too prevalent. And you have to take care of yourself, too. They can't do everything. Mad Money's back after the break. Booyah! Jim Cramer here from Mad Money. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube. Click here to subscribe and get the jump on my exclusives with CEOs, plus market news, investing advice, and a whole lot more.